Before looking at changes to the last two chapters of the 2021 UPC, let's take a minute to examine why we should make more efficient use of water. To be clear, there's no global shortage of water. There's roughly the same amount of water on Earth as there was hundreds of thousands of years ago. And barring some unthinkable disaster, there will be more or less the same amount of water on Earth for centuries to come. Unlike oil or coal, water is a renewable resource. No matter how it's used, it eventually returns to the hydrological cycle, falls as rain, and gets used again. The problem isn't that there's not enough. Instead, it's that the water isn't always where it can be used. About 97% of the world's water is contained in the oceans. Roughly another 2.7% is frozen, underground, or in the atmosphere, and generally inaccessible. That leaves less than 1% of the world's water that all human, animal, and plant life depends on. And the distribution of that 1% is wildly uneven. Some areas receive too much and may suffer floods, while others receive too little and suffer droughts. These uneven patterns of water distribution have always existed, but most scientists now believe that the distribution of available water is becoming more uneven. At the same time, unprecedented population growth places rapidly multiplying demands on what water is available. The Department of Defense has warned of possible water wars caused by uneven distribution of water around the globe. The good news is that plumbers and plumbing manufacturers in the U.S. have been responding to these challenges, installing low-flow toilets in showers, finding and fixing leaks, and creating appliances that need less water to do their work. IAPMO has been involved in these efforts as well. They issued the first guidelines for sustainable plumbing practices in the 2010 Green Plumbing and Mechanical Code Supplement to the UPC. In the years since, they have incorporated all of the green practices either into the Uniform Plumbing Code itself or into the appendices to the UPC. The UPC has a reputation as the greener National Model Plumbing Code. IAPMO states in their illustrated guide to the UPC that it's equally important to develop alternative water sources as it is to develop alternate sources of energy. Chapters 15 and 16 are the two green chapters in the UPC, but they don't contain codes for conserving water. Conservation is probably the most effective path we have here in America to a more efficient use of water. But what chapters 15 and 16 do is to add the powerful tool of using water that doesn't come out of the tap to reduce the consumption of water from the utility. Bringing alternative water sources into the mix can be complicated. Full-scale rainwater catchment systems are growing in popularity, but are still rare and not suitable to every climate. A simple rain barrel is another rainwater catchment technique but has limited impact. As a rule, graywater will provide far more water savings than rainwater, since it's more easily used in fixtures than rainwater, as well as being available for irrigation. It also puts less stress on sanitary drainage systems. Graywater has the advantage over rainwater in that it's fairly steady and predictable and doesn't require large cisterns to store and use through drier months. Remember, though, that these two chapters only address water for non-potable uses. Trying to use any water from alternate sources for drinking, cooking, and bathing is far more complicated, expensive, and regulated than non-potable uses. Provisions for on-site water capture and treatment to make water safe for drinking are in the UPC appendices, for informational purposes, not in the chapters that contain enforceable code. Chapters 15 and 16 should become an increasing part of most plumbers' work in the years ahead.